Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much to the organizers for hosting me here today. Similar to Google X, BP also has a team that is dedicated to solving the world's most challenging and pressing problems. This team is called Lab 42, and it is headed by Justin Lewis, the VP of Incubation. Justin previously was a software engineering leader at Tesla and at Google, and he holds over 450 patents. Now, Lab 42 incubates a range of different businesses. For example, anything from frontline worker safety products to defining what the cutting edge of convenience experience will look like. Today, I'm going to talk about one team that Lab 42 is currently incubating, which is called Merge. Merge leverages a unique combination of dedicated human code reviewers with technology, in particular generative AI, in order to accelerate developer velocity. As we all know, developer velocity is really important to make organizations successful, and also, of course, that developers have good team health. But nevertheless, accomplishing high developer velocity at scale is quite challenging. Today, I'm going to cover 3 topics in my talk. Firstly, I'm going to give you a short overview of why software engineering and data science is absolutely critical to accelerating the energy transition and help solve the energy trilemma. Next, I'm going to share some common obstacles that we face cross industries and cross companies when it comes to accomplishing high developer velocity. And then finally, the bulk of my presentation is going to be around how can we change the mindset when it comes to code reviews and leverage products like Merge in order to help facilitate software engineers to develop high quality, safe code as quickly as possible. Software engineers, data scientists, coders, and so many of you, like so many of you here in the room, really are working on some of the world's most important problems. And similar in my role at BP, I'm really honored to be working with a large number of talented software engineers and data scientists who are helping accelerate the energy transition and help solve the energy trilemma. Here are just a couple of examples what they're working on. Firstly, electrification. We have built data-driven and data science algorithms in order to provide recommendations to the EV charging network planners of where to next place the EV charging sites. We leverage monitoring and observability in order to ensure high reliability and uptime of existing EV chargers in our networks. And we also have built end-user-facing mobile applications that provide a seamless user experience to our end consumers in order to locate EV charging sites and pay for on-the-go EV charging. We also leverage engineering in order to keep our frontline workers safe and connected, for example, on onshore as well as offshore wind farms. And we leverage data science in order to ensure we have stable renewable energy production. For example, for providing predictions around maintenance and intermittencies on wind farms. And finally, we leverage cutting-edge IoT devices in order to detect as well as mitigate emissions. So I hope with these few examples you can see how important software development and data science is to our company's mission, people, and the planet, and why it is so important to me that we accelerate developer velocity across the company. Now, there are 3 common themes and dimensions when it comes to developer velocity that we have observed across industries and across companies. They are code quality, technical debt, and cycle time. So why does code quality matter? Well, as we all know, software development is not a one and done, but a launch and iterate activity. And that means that typically code tends to be read more often than it is written. So for us to build software development features and augment existing code, having high quality and readable code is really important. The flip side of this is technical debt. As technical debt increases, so does the brittleness of software, and bugs and outages become more likely. Also, several studies have shown that an average, software engineers lose about 20 to 40% of their time due to tech debt. That's the equivalent of 1 to 2 days per week. Cycle times. This is the time it takes to develop and launch a new feature. That means we want to decrease cycle time in order to increase developer velocity. And many teams, also ours, are using the mechanism of launching smaller pieces of code more frequently in order to accomplish this. This also has the nice side effect that risk is mitigated because smaller code changes tend to bear less risk. So how do code reviews help with all of this? Well, when it comes to code quality and technical debt, having code reviews and disseminating standards and best practices across the organization systematically can help with code quality and preemptively mitigate some of the technical debt. Also remember that code reviews is a great opportunity for learning and development, where more experienced software engineers can disseminate their knowledge to others in the organization, thereby increasing code quality over time in the long run. Now, cycle time. Here you're probably going to be quite skeptical because anyone here in this room who has written code before, including myself, probably was in a situation where you waited and were actually blocked by code reviews. And this is such a prevalent issue that there are even memes in our community about this, like the one that I'm showing here on the right-hand side. On average, it takes about 1 day to merge code, with code reviews being the biggest blocker, taking about 80% of the time. And this means that in large organizations, as for example BP, it could take years of wait time for software engineers every single day. So therefore, we quickly realized this and we prioritized the activity of code reviews in order to unblock software engineers and to scale ourselves. But we weren't satisfied with just that. We wanted to take it a step further. And this is one of the reasons that we started to develop Merge. Merge provides code reviews as a service. It aims to provide fast and efficient and effective code reviews to software development teams and data science teams. Merge accomplishes this by having a dedicated code review team that has the aim to start code reviews 15 minutes after receiving a pull request. Now, the output of Merge is deeply familiar to software engineers because, similar to doing code reviews and pull requests, the Merge reviewers add comments to the code. Merge is also deeply integrated with GitHub and similar platforms, which means that software engineers can continue to use the ecosystems and environments they love and cherish. Merge also provides technical know-how and expertise and technology for the code reviewers. So they can scale the code reviews across repositories and provide additional context around the code reviews to make code reviewers more fast and efficient. And we're going to see some concrete examples about this later. And the cool part is that the Merge team members not only do code reviews, but they actually build the underlying technology and engine to scale themselves and speed themselves up. Thereby, Merge code reviews become faster and better every single day. In short, the goal here is to supercharge code reviews through a combination of dedicated human code reviewers and technology. Now, before we go and delve a little bit more into the technology that underpins Merge, I wanted to preemptively answer a question that the Merge team gets quite frequently. And that is, how do Merge code reviewers have enough context to be able to review another team's code? Because traditionally, code reviews have been carried out within the team because that team has the deepest context on the code as well as the domain. Now, here we want to, in order to answer this question, we would like to tease out 6 different dimensions on what we are looking for when it comes to code reviews. And you can see those here on the right-hand side. Now, noteworthy is that the 5 dimensions shown on the outside of this circle, these are common across projects. They do not require any domain-specific knowledge or skills. However, correctness, that is one out of the 6 dimensions that does require domain-specific knowledge. And this is where it gets interesting and we use technology. So how does Merge leverage technology to scale code reviews? Well, we leverage a couple of components here. Firstly, we want to ensure that any incoming pull request gets routed to the most appropriate Merge code reviewer. And to this end, Merge has been building machine learning algorithms to complete this task. For example, recognizing which code reviewer has previously reviewed a certain piece of code or within a certain repository. Also, Merge only wants to surface the code that really matters to people. There are certain snippets of code that will be light touch or might be completely automatable. And so Merge really only wants to surface that code that requires a human code review. And then for that piece of code that does require human code review, Merge has building new technologies in order to provide deep dive opportunities and increase efficiencies of code reviews for humans. And this is an opportunity where artificial intelligence can shine. AI can obviously help with a lot of different categories on this front. So let me just name a few. AI can provide descriptions of the pull request, providing the code reviewer additional context about the changes that are in the pull request. AI can provide summarizations of code snippets to provide additional insights and explanations about what the code is doing. AI can be leveraged to identify potential issues in the code, and more importantly, even provide recommendations on how to address them. AI can also help us make smart queries across the entirety of the code base of an organization, as well as also provide inputs of external information, like, for example, documentation. And this provides the code reviewers additional context and, again, makes them much more efficient. And then finally, AI can help us to write the code review itself. That is quite a time-consuming task. And so we can leverage AI completions, for example, to provide recommendations on this front. So at this point, you might be wondering, why are we not just handing everything off to AI? Well, Merge has done some real-world experiments and has identified that artificial intelligence is not yet a silver bullet, and it still requires domain expert software engineers in the loop to carry out code reviews with high correctness and fidelity. So let's cover a couple of examples of where AI fails today. The first one is unknown unknowns. It is very hard to understand up front what the information is that is required to carry out a successful and complete code review. We might have new technologies, new libraries, or new domain concepts. Secondly, hallucinations. As we all know, AI can be useful and provide good suggestions and recommendations, but it also can provide highly nonsensical answers as well. And it's really important to us to ensure that the authors of the code really trust the code reviews. And then finally, there might be too much information required that we can put into the context window in order for a model to do code reviews. Now, there are some trade-offs and workarounds around this, but they come with their own challenges. So in short, I hope this shows you, with these 3 examples, and there are more, why Merge has decided to, instead of having automated code reviews, do a combination of dedicated code reviewers with technology. So let's look at that a little bit. So in short, instead of us thinking about AI automating code reviews, we see AI augmenting the human code reviewer. And this human-in-the-loop concept has a lot of advantages. For example, it can overcome some of the issues we saw on the previous slide, like hallucinations, for example. If you have a human in the loop, that person can check the output and the correctness of the model and make any amendments or changes as needed before passing on the code review to the human code author. Also, having humans in the loop helps us to continuously enrich our training data set, and that allows us to build better models in the future for code reviews as well. This human-in-the-loop concept is heavily aligned with our group-level AI strategy at BP, where we believe in human-machine teams. Let me expand a little bit on this. Machines are really good at analyzing and finding patterns in large volumes of data quickly, whereas humans today still excel at intuition, creativity, and abstract reasoning. So by combining the best of both worlds, building human-machine teams, we can have better and faster decision-making and outputs. And that's exactly what the Merge team is doing here as well. So let's look at a couple of concrete examples that the Merge team has provided. In this first example, we use AI to provide a description of the pull requests. As you can see, the AI does a very good job summarizing the changes in the pull requests, and that really helps accelerate the work of the code reviewer. In the next example, on the left-hand side, we have the block of code that is to be reviewed, and on the right-hand side, you can see the recommendations from the AI. The AI has found some issues in the code and also provided some suggestions on how to address them. In this case, the human code reviewer has deemed these recommendations to be useful and has incorporated them into the code review itself. But note, of course, this is not a guarantee and it doesn't happen always. So having humans in the loop is still very important, as we discussed earlier. And the final example, here the AI has recognized that the code is actually no longer being used. Also notice the context here. The AI has recognized that this is a React application and also can provide some framework-specific information and insights. Now, how helpful has Merge been to us as an organization? In short, tremendously. Thanks to the dedicated code reviewers and the technology that I described, we can scale one Merge code reviewer to support over 175 software engineers. That is a massive leap forward from the traditional code reviews that typically have a 1-to-10 ratio. Also, for the teams that we rolled Merge out to, we see a developer velocity increase of up to 5x. Again, a massive improvement to the baseline performance. And then finally, due to Merge, fewer of our software developers across the company need to do code reviews these days. And they can do what they really love the most, which is write code. And we love happy developers. So Merge, of course, is still in development today. However, due to the initial success that we're seeing in our organization, we're considering to potentially making Merge available also externally. So in case you're interested to learn more about Merge, get to know the people who are building Merge, and potentially might want to use it, please use the QR code that is shown here on this slide. Also, if you are a software developer and data scientist and would like to join the Merge team, we are also actively hiring. Again, please feel free to use the QR code that is shown here on this slide as well. And with that, thank you very much for your attention.